I don't think anybody would disagree with the ultimate aim, which is to reduce our carbon emissions, and I think that isn't going to change going forward. I think we are all, logical people, and we try to do the best we can. I think if you try and look at it as a sort of massive, zero outcome as your end goal, I think you can lose, sight of the journey. And so I think, how do you eat an elephant? It's a bit at a time. And so focus on one part of your business and start with that and make some gains there, and then you can move on to the next bit. And if I've got a frustration with the process at the moment is that, we are all managing biological systems. You can't just pull one lever and nothing else changes. And so I think there isn't really a good understanding of that and what actually is being asked and expected of people to do to meet the challenge of a carbon zero in the future. But I think equally it's wrong to then say, well, because of that, we don't do anything. We're annually cropping about 880 hectares of intensive or annual crops. On the grain side is maize, wheat, barley, oats. We do processed vegetables, carrots, peas, sweet corn and beans. And we do some export squash, along with some vegetable seed production and grass seed production. And then we finish lambs in the winter time on the cropping area. And then the pastoral block at Horonui is mainly medium to steep rolling hill country that we run the beef unit on. Some lambs down there, and then the flats we will integrate with some cropping. 1,000 bulls or 1,500 bulls and 7,500 sort of lambs is going to be probably our biggest single item when it comes to carbon or greenhouse gas emissions. Coming back to the cropping side, obviously fertiliser and chemistry is the next two big items and the easiest ones to control, and fuel effectively is already part of the system. We're actually doing a lot of work already to address some of our climate issues, but our focus hasn't been on carbon, it's actually been around effectively and efficiently growing crops in a sustainable way. If I go back to when I was at school, spent a lot of time driving tractors, which was great helping out and everything else, but it was very noticeable that over time our soil was actually getting harder and harder to get to a position that was deemed good enough to drill a crop. And so getting the knowledge from Massey and soil science around structure and how that all works and what that can mean for our productive systems, that was probably one of my first focuses, was how do we actually reduce the damage to the soil. Reducing our tillage has been a major thing. Moving to direct drilling strip tillage. Rotation has also been a big part of the farm for 60 years. So again, that enables us to lessen the amount of fertiliser we're using for some crops, how we structure that rotation so that legumes feed the wheat, as an example. Certainly compaction is another big area we look at, so we're running tracked equipment for a lot of the work we do so that we don't compact the soil, or using aeration to reduce or alleviate that compaction. Don't have cattle on the cropping areas. We irrigate a lot, and so all bar one machine has got VRI, variable rate irrigation, so that enables us to put the water in the right place on the right soil types and not have any nutrient flushing effects going on, and it enables us to effectively utilise the water. The GPS equipment in the machines allows us to be very accurate with what we're doing, so overlap, so lack of fuel. And again, coming back to the strip tillage and the reduced tillage means that our fuel load per hectare is a lot lower than it has been in the past. We integrate livestock in the business as well, which gives us nutrient cycling and again helps with that, getting crop residue and stover back into the ground so that we get that organic matter carbon build up in the soils, which is quite critical. Being on the east coast with the dry, we found that breeding and that sort of high maintenance cost of carrying stock through for a limited output was not the right way to do it. So we're purely finishing, so we can get things in, grow them quickly, get them off the paddocks and gone. So I think that's quite an effective way of utilising the country and managing our feed supply, so we're not bringing in a supplementary feed to keep capital stock over the summer. We can actually basically use seasonal supply to meet demand of our system. To do nothing is not an option. But if you think about it, just go back to efficiency. No farmer would argue about being efficient, whether it's with the amount of fuel he uses or the chemistry he uses or the amount of land he uses to get a certain outcome. So if you focus on efficiency and just changing changing things to get it more efficient, then you're probably going to be going a long way to making gains around what your carbon losses are. So, look at that as a positive and move forward.